Hello everyone, my name is Oshrat Holland. I'm an architect and an interdisciplinary artist. In my artistic practice, I research sensorial spatial experience, its relation to what can be considered as architectural knowledge, and maybe how it can be used for design and planning processes. When I first applied to the open call, I suggested a workshop which was about to take place in the real world. Then I discovered it's actually an online event. When I got back to Aviv and Eden, they suggested maybe I will talk about the workshop and the theme it raises. Thank you for this opportunity. I guess it's always a good idea to rethink my own practice. To begin with, it will be best to say a few words about the workshop so we can all be on the same page regarding the experience the workshop offers and the questions it arises. I had a chance to lead it already a couple of times, and it was always a bit of a different experience. So basically, the workshop is a pretty low-tech one, where I invite participants for a walk, where we explore two main activities. Firstly, listening to the urban environment, and then writing down the sounds the participants heard in a few locations on the way by using a questionnaire which I provide. The main idea of the questionnaire is to write sounds each participant experienced, the settings, most memorable moments, the atmosphere accompanying these moments. For example, if you heard a bird, you are asked to portray its sounds in words, the volume, to mention the volume, the pitch, etc. Now, the first question I ask in the workshop, and I get back to it in the end as well, is what we can tell about the city merely by listening to it. It's not that I have a clear answer about this question, but I think it's definitely one worth asking. And while I prepared this talk, came into my mind an interview I did a few years ago to one of my projects, where I interviewed Zev Druckmann, who served as the head of architecture department in Bezalel since 1990 for 12 years. And I want to quote one of his answers, which I believe can give us a clue where to look when we start thinking about an answer to the question I just mentioned. So I will read it, and it goes like this. The city is one of the most acute civic issues over time. The central question in architecture and urban design that's currently at stake is how we grow inward without dismantling the idea of a place. We keep asking old questions we once asked. How do we position ourselves within the world? And architecture is to position oneself in the world. This is its main action. How does it position itself? How does it produce relationship with others? And how it constructs the public space? End of quote. So, sound-wise, if architecture is about positioning myself in the world, the next question will be how the action of listening support the act of positioning. Such link, I believe, may give me a whole strategy, like listening strategy, which can accompany many other research questions. For example, what type of sonic settings people prefer or dislike, or how well do sonic and visual environment correlate. A short example to what I mean is if we can say that the sound of an airplane flying in the sky can be considered as noise when we do not see the airplane itself, which is the source of the sound. But watching an airplane take off can be a pretty powerful sonic experience for most of us, maybe even something to remember. Now, speaking of remembering, another question the workshop raised is how do we remember, if at all, soundscapes? Or how do we construct sound identity of a place? These questions are more connected to the written part of the workshop because most of the answers that I got in the questionnaires mentioned what people understood as the source of the sound. This sometimes causes misinterpretations when the source of the sound could not be perceived visually. And the fact that people couldn't relate sound without mentioning their sources, I believe increased the possibility for prejudice when they came to understand, when they tried to understand whether they like what they heard or not. What I try to point out with this writing experience is how thin is our vocabulary when we try to describe sounds. I believe that the level of our literal thinking can indicate the level of knowledge we manage to hold in our memory and our capability to use it when we need it. In this case, when we talk about sound, it influences our ability to construct sound identity of places. Now, I would like in this connection to mention another quote as an example, written by Vitruvius and taken from his book, The 10 Books of Architecture. I'm sure some of you came across the name of Vitruvius or his book. So it goes like that. Harmonics is an obscure and difficult branch of musical science, especially for those who do not know Greek. If we desire to refer to it, we must use Greek words, because some of them have no Latin equivalents. Hence, I will explain and define the boundaries of the notes so that anybody may be able to understand it pretty easily. Now, this is taken from book 5, chapter 4. Right afterwards, Vitruvius enumerates and describes the three classes of modes. First, the one the Greek call as enharmonic, the chromatic, and the diatonic. He then elaborates the 18 notes each class contains. He continues with the 5 tetrachords, which I'll skip saying since I care about my teeth. And he continued to different sounds group with their properties, and each of them has its own designated name. Vitruvius' vast knowledge wasn't accidental. He lived in the 1st century BC, which is a period of time where the transition from a spoken to a written culture took place. This transition became the turning point from in the political relationship, if we can say, between the ear and the eye. He indicates that the text that the Greek is actually a better language, descriptive language to describe sound, since there are words that do not exist in Roman language. So actually he already points out the decline in the vocabulary in a culture that was more established as a written one, and I mean the Roman culture. So since I'm running out of time here, in order to conclude this last 10 minutes, I think it's clear, and this symposium is actually demonstrated, that we live in a time where there is a social urge to question the power our eyes hold, that influence the way we experience the world. I think slowly we start to understand the connection it has to many major negative outcomes caused by living like that. And to bring back sound to our life is necessarily meaning to stop ignoring it in our major human habitat, which is the city. Now, the question of how we do that depends, firstly, on our ability to understand in a very deep level how sound influences our spatial experience, and then by developing creative tools to know sound, which is listening, interpreting, and creating memories, which are huge sound archives that we carry within us wherever we go. I only hope that my workshop is kind of a way to explore and expand our ability to do so. And I really hope maybe we'll have a chance to do it together somehow. And that's it. So thank you.